Hello everybody, welcome in. My draw, how you doing? Let's get this started. Alright, so I am going to be assembling maybe one mini, maybe more, depends. I'm going to start with some progress on one and then see if I need to open another box. What's up, Hetzer? How you doing? Okay, we got our tools, and here's what I'm going to start assembling first. This little guy, Rogel Dorn Battle Tank. So it's still sealed, so we're going to open this up. Frankie Fingers, welcome in. This is it's for a commission. It's a small part of a much larger commission, but we're gonna get this going. I don't quite have word on exact weapon loadouts. My understanding, yeah, there's more, quite a few weapon loadouts. So I'm gonna wait to put weapons in until I hear back on what the gentleman would like. But I will get done what I can. That's cool. You can build it with no sponsons. That's cool. So, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and start on this. It's not too many sprues. It's just 3 sprues. Yeah, nice modern Imperial Guard transfer sheet. That's cool. So hold on. They have Catachin, Cadia, Vostroya, Mordian, Tilarn, Krieg, Armageddon, and Valhalla. That's cool. Oh, Tanith over here. They got Tanith. Neat. That's cool. What a cool transfer sheet. I don't think I've seen the more modern guard transfer sheet. So let's see what we got. We'll get where we can on this, and if we have time, we'll get started on some more here. I do want to talk about 40k craziness. We got heresy stuff to talk about. There's Total War news. Yeah, lots of stuff. How are you guys doing today? How's your week been? Looks like this is our. Are there 2 track sprues? Oh yeah, there are. Okay, all right. Okay, let's set this instruction booklet off to the side. We need piece number 40, piece number 2, piece number 72, and piece number 46. This is piece number 40. I have never assembled a Rogel Dorn tank. This is a new experience for me. Raja, welcome in. How you doing? Number 72 is right here. We need piece number, was it 46? Yeah, 46. There's 46. Okay. Set that down and we will clip out piece number 2. This is piece number 2. What you guys up to today? Okay, you go in there. Let's clean up some pieces. What is that? What are you linking me? You giving me a virus, JD? Oh yeah, you painted a Rogel Dorn. Nice. Looks good. I like the camo. Very World War II German of you. Nothing's was here. There is a really good YouTube series going on right now from, I think the channel is just called World War II. But they are the channel that did World War II week by week. Kind of like it was happening, and they would give a weekly update on everything that happened the previous week in the war and everything. And huge series. They did World War I first, and then they did World War II. Now they're doing the Korean War. But those channels, even though like World War II is over, in the series, they're still putting out content. And one of the series they've been releasing the past year or so is called Death of Democracy. It's a very good series. It's pretty haunting and relevant, all things considered, but they put out new episodes yesterday or today, maybe a couple days ago. They put an episode about the SDKFZ 251. It was like the armored half-track, the German armored half-track. It was just like a little side episode on some actual like war equipment, but it was a nice like in-depth like 15-minute info about the vehicle. It was cool. The Great War was really good. I think the big issue with the World War II series and with the Korean War, they both kind of have their it's not like the fault of the documentary. It's more just the way those wars were. So like World War II, there was so much to cover every single week that they were putting out half-hour episodes every single week, and they still could only cover like a fraction or the majority, but they couldn't go in depth with what was going on. So I think that, and so they made all kinds of side episodes, they did all kinds of specials and everything like that, but it just like one episode a week to cover the whole world fighting essentially is was very ambitious. The Korean War is going on right now. The series is going on, not the actual war. I guess the war is technically still on, but that was really well. It's been really well done. I've been watching it every week. I think their issue with that is not their content at all. It's just the Korean War stalemates after a year or so. And so the series has almost turned into like, they'll zoom in and focus on, this week, there's fighting over this hill, right? There's a lot of that, but it's a lot of like, let's talk about the peace talks that have been going on for over a year straight, or, let's talk about the American politics behind everything, and which is really interesting to me. But it's also like, you can tell it's them just saying, kind of admitting like, yeah, there's not much going on in the war as far as like action and maneuver and everything. So there's only so much that we can talk about. Okay, kind of fit together like a little jigsaw puzzle. Hold this together for a second. Yeah, I have watched all three of those series like as they came out. It's been fantastic. I've been doing that for 12 years. Yeah, on the verge of getting back into 11th. Okay. I want to talk about the the Space Marine stuff in particular. You know, the announcement from yesterday, and you know what it means. So one interesting thing that I haven't seen people mention a whole lot is from 16, 17, and 20. Okay, well, let me get out my pieces here. In that article, they talked about units going to Legends, which, you know, everybody kind of the box knot was added to the Legends list, dude. Yeah, it was added. They edited the article this morning, and they added the classic Dreadnought. Yeah, it was like literally just morning. There you go, hot take number 1. I don't know if that's technically a hot take, but sorry. 16. Yeah, but you know, they have their big list of things getting added to Legends, and it's like basically it's all of the Firstborn stuff plus well, except for like the Rhino and the Land Raider. They put over here, good, the gnashing of teeth. And then they have the list of units. They're like, well, you can use these units, you can substitute these units as these units. A specific thing they did not mention, which is probably my biggest like concern, the only thing that I'm like, man, that stinks. Hey Bean, what's going on? When they say, you know, you can substitute a tactical squad as an intercessor squad for anything but like official tournaments. Okay, cool, whatever. You know, that's, I think some people may have been doing that, but people that were using tactical squads as tactical squads, and I think all of us understand that tactical squads carry different weapons than intercessor squads. It sounds like they're not making Legends rules for the units that they're telling you to just substitute. So like, I don't think there's going to be a Devastator squad, a tactical squad, an assault squad like data sheet. I don't think that's happening, which is probably my biggest concern, because, you know, I'm a huge fan of like just play to have fun. Like, we don't need to be super serious with it. Like, play what you want and everything, and, you know, just use the Legends rules. But if there are no Legends rules, like, that just makes it that much more inaccessible. And I think that's a big kind of weird problem if they're not doing that. But that was what I read. That's what I read from that article. That's kind of what I gathered. Hey, AKA Former, what's going on? Yeah, Orc Vehicles going to Legends, yeah. Those, yeah, they're really cycling out older units. One of the things I was reading about the orcs, though, is that some of the units that people thought they were getting rid of, like some of the buggy units or whatever, they're just being smushed into one data sheet. But yeah, Games Workshop has released so many miniatures the past, like, how many years? Like the past 10 years, let's say. Just so much. I think they're hitting, like, with some things, which is funny, they're hitting like a critical mass of Space Marines, right? I mean, they're not giving Uriel Ventress rules. You can't even Legends use Uriel Ventress. They said just use him as a captain. You know, he's not that old of a model. Same with the Hammerfall bunker, which has always been horrible, but finished third rocket launcher team. Oh, nice. You can't run your super vehicle army. You could probably still do an entire army of vehicles, though, right? There are enough orc vehicles. It'll be just a lot less interesting. Yeah, there's so many Space Marines. Yeah. Space Marines pay the bills, though. Yeah, and then you have like you have Drukari sitting off to the side with like losing data sheets every every edition, and just like shrinking their like 20 data sheet army. 25. It's 25. Each of these treads are individually numbered. I guess except for these number 9s here, but the other ones are all individually numbered. Normally the Heresy tanks, which I've assembled a lot more of recently, they give you basically duplicates of the tread numbers. They have 8 data sheets? No, they have somewhere around like 20. But every edition since 5th edition, it's shrank. The number of units available to Drukari has shrank every single edition. And it's funny, they actually added a unit to Drukari for the first time, even though it's just like the kill team. It's just a warrior squad with some extra options. But that's the first new unit Drukari have had since 5th edition. In 16 years at this point, they've had one unit added to their roster, and they still had a net loss of data sheets. Because G-Dub sent so many of those to Legends. He sent so many. Gonna probably maybe paint my Dreadnought. Yeah, alright. Get the old Legends Dreadnought down. President Orc Dreadnought. Don't know anymore. Oh, it's a Brutalis. Oh, okay. A weird tread assembly system here. I have LGS. Pick up a couple more plastic dreadnoughts. Yeah. So I think Veritech, I don't think there's much of a rush. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see the box not come back in Castaferum version or Heresy and or some kind of Scouring expansion in the not too distant future. And it'll probably be more to scale. I mean, you know. Yeah, the kit... You can't buy the kit, but you can play the mini in Heresy already. So, it has rules. But I think an updated kit would be nice. Okay, 3 9s and a 7 is what I need now. Yeah, I have wanted a Castaferum Dreadnought for my 1,000 Suns for some time, but I can wait. Just don't trust GW not to fumble it. What do you mean, like the model design or what? I think the Heresy minis have looked insanely good pretty much since they've been putting stuff out. They've always been really cool. Okay. Let's do this. Put 7 down first, because that's the odd one out. That's funny. Yeah, the Heresy minis are great looking. Speaking of great looking Heresy minis, they put out an article about the journal coming out, and they were talking about the new units for Custodes. I'm a little sad that the new Solar Auxiliate cohort is for the Custodes and not for the Thousand Sons, but that's beside the point. They have a really cool image, like a display image showing off, you know, the models and the battle and stuff. The color scheme on the Tzeentch demons is fantastic. It's so good. It fits the like Ruin Storm look really well. And that is probably the best I have ever seen the like pink or blue horrors. I don't know which ones those are specific. I think they're the same models, aren't they? But the best I've seen the horror minis. Yeah, they have a little article. They talk about some of the new units in the book, or the Custodes. They get a new Solar Aux cohort that they can ally in with them. So Custodes get line. Woo! Is it blue? It's like they have like fleshy colored arms, and then it blends into like a blue very briefly until it goes into like a dark like gray blue, like a really like desaturated kind of color scheme. Okay, that's one tread done. There we go. It's a solid track there. Next one, 75, 33, 47, 67. Yeah, I recommend checking it out though. It's a great color scheme that they show, and they even show a Changer of Ways in the background. That's the Greater Demon of Tzeentch in the background. Looks incredible, and part of me feels like I'm gonna have to start collecting some demons at this point, just because they look so cool. Yeah, it's an incredible color scheme, isn't it? 67, 67. So Heresy keeps knocking it out of the park with these models and cool rules and stuff. So I'm happy. If they come out with the Heresy Castaferum, it's going to be wild. I think if they do a Heresy Castaferum, it will be the Venerable Dreadnought look with the Space Marine head exposed. I think it'll be that style, but maybe they'll make it where you can do either. I don't know, but I think it'll be very much like Venerable Dreadnought look, not like present day 40k box knot. Yeah, fantastic looking demon color scheme. I hope they post a little guide on how they painted those, because they look complicated, a little complex, and I feel like I'm gonna have to practice my like sponge stippling or something to paint those, but I would totally just copy that as is. I think my only criticism of that color scheme is the actual flames. There's one of them that's like holding a flame up toward the foreground of the picture, and it's like, it looks out of place. It's like very bright blue, and I don't mind a bright blue flame on those models, but that one in particular just looks off. Okay. Piece of set. Play with the new Zone Mortalis detachments. Yeah, I did a little Zone Mortalis event. It was like a month ago. One second. I'll read these other comments in a moment. Okay. A couple others with blue flamers in the background, on the left side. In the distance, they look good. Yeah. There's one that's holding fire above its head. And I don't... Okay, I didn't care for it. Didn't care for it. Yeah. What's up, Mech Tech? Blue, how you guys doing? Big old wag. Is that what we're doing this morning? Don't hurt me. I know what it is. I know it's Wah. At work? You wish to pay. Hey, good old boss ass, showing us how it's done. Boss ass embodies the orc spirit. Yeah. Thank you for the bits, by the way. All right. We got this. We need 17, 28, 38. Back onto the tracks. It's 38. Yeah, the Zone Mortalis detachments are fine. I took one. I can't remember which one it was I took, but what I did find myself kind of thinking throughout the event was that I should have just brought the classic Crusade detachment. I think it would have been just as reasonable. 17. There's 17. Okay. You get more prime advantages. I think the prime advantages are really good for Thousand Suns, so I like to maximize those. What you guys doing today? We were talking about Space Marines. A new codex coming. It is. It definitely is Veritech, yeah. And Thousand Suns are... like, they're in a really good spot to where they have a really good unique detachment that basically gets you what you want as an auxiliary detachment, and then they also like really want the prime advantages, and those two things, like, you can really maximize prime advantages as a Thousand Suns player, and you can't do that as well with like, there's fewer primes you get from the Zone Mortalis detachments, and then also it gives you, like, you can get like elite units out of it. We don't need to find other ways to get elite units, because we just get them in our detachment. So those detachments are like redundant with a slight negative to them, basically. I mean, they're cool, they're super thematic, and you know, I have I'm working on a Zone Mortalis board to play Zone Mortalis in my own time and on stream, but it needs a bit more work. I have a layout I could put down. What I really need is I need an actual board to put everything on. And I had talked to Zen about printing a board. It's like printing all the Zone Mortalis board pieces and stuff. And when we looked at stuff, we kind of figured that it would cost so much and take so much time to paint the Zone Mortalis board that it's better just to buy the mat. And there's a company called Skirmish Mats that sells a Zone Mortalis 4-foot by 4-foot mat, and it's like $70. So I think that will be in my future as far as let's go on here. Let's see. Is that the wrong one? Is that the right one?
Look at me!
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so whips, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You got your is it a Rampager? Is that what it's called? In. Let's get this last piece up top. Yeah, I feel especially once I get that mat, whenever that happens, we'll be in business. All right, we got that glue. Let's check out Discord. Let's check out with me whips. Where are my whips? Yeah. Oh, it's so vibrant. Yeah, the leather color is really nice with the green. The green is so bright. The blue's a nice touch. No, it looks really good, man. Looks really good. How was the time commitment compared to speed paint? Green is the best color. All right. Okay, flipping the book over. Let's get the rest of the treads. 23, 36, 37. There's 36. There's 37. Underpainting I did with 6 different dry brushes. 6 and 1/2. Okay, it's about the same. Dang, that's a lot of dry brush steps. It's fair though. If you can, do 2 different things to get the same result, it's good for breaking up the monotony, right? All right, 23 right there. doesn't go there, that goes down here. All right. Yeah, you know, I don't mind Space Marines being super elite in 40k. I think that's appropriate from a like a lore to gameplay situation. But what has happened, and this seems to have happened almost every edition, the past few editions, GW makes Space Marines more elite, and then the other armies can't keep up, or they think that they can't keep up with their weapons. So then they make the weapons better to compensate. And then the Space Marine points drop. And then the next edition, GW makes Space Marines more elite again, and you're back down to fewer number, but then it just keeps happening. Squishy, what's going on? Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. Yeah, because like you think about, you know, you make Space Marines toughness 5. Okay, you know, it's reasonable. And there's like differences between the different Space Marine units, and that's cool. Like the granularity they're putting in is nice. The problem is you have like Death Guard. Death Guard are already toughness 5, right? Standard. So now Death Guard are just another Space Marine. Do you make Death Guard tougher? Do you give them an extra wound? What do you do to make Death Guard more unique and kind of have their niche? Terminator armor is probably going to be toughness 6 now. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe Terminator stays at toughness 5 and just gets the 2-up save and the extra wound, right? But suffering that made me deal with. What are you talking about? Nurgle is benevolent and loving. But then you're like, you know, I know they have units that are toughness 7 right now. Like, do they go up to like toughness 8 or toughness 9? And then you have a Death Guard Terminator that is the same defensive stats as like Xenos vehicles. And it gets kind of out of hand at that point. Yeah, will Knights go up in toughness? Yeah, who knows? Yeah. I think they're running out of numbers. You know, they try to do this scale of 10 that they've done for so long, but when 80% of people play Space Marines, you know, it affects everything when you change up Space Marines like that. Hold on. Why are you back there? Do you need to go down some more? That's not fitting. Did I put the wrong one on there? No, these are all the same. Why? Why does that not fit? What is up with this? Huh. think the tabs on here. Also, what if... That's why. They tell you to put it on the wrong side. Huh. There we go. There we go. Alright. All is right in the world. Hold on. Knights are toughness 12 except the dominus because with 13. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Battle line, basic, boring, custodies are toughness 6. Yeah, that might go up too. Yeah, because they have to be better, right? This does not seem to like me. Oh no. I have only played against knights, I think, twice. Once was with my Dark Eldar, and once was against with my my Space Marines as Ultramarines, and I believe I won both of those games. It was on TTS though. It was kind of early 10th edition, so you know maybe things are a lot different at this point, but yeah. Knights are always going to be like, you know, I feel bad when I lose because they're kind of a stat check army. If someone didn't bring enough anti-tank, then it's just too bad. You know, it's any kind of like skew army is going to do that. Okay. Tread halves are done. We need a piece. It's those two. We need piece 65 and 50. Oh yeah, there's a tank with the gap. I don't know why they put a gap in this thing. They're like, if we don't put a gap, we're gonna need an entire other sprue. That's definitely not it. You, it's right here. All right. 65. That's 50. Moon, depression hitting you hard. Sorry to hear that. Been sleeping okay. Get some exercise, get some fresh air, eating good. I don't have any cures or anything, but just keep trying to take care of yourself. Selection, am I LGS almost amusingly small? Yeah. The store, there's a store close to me. And I like to play at that store, but I can never buy anything at that store because they never have anything in stock. It's always so low on stock. It's kind of frustrating, honestly. Same two kits, yeah. I want to do all these things, but they do help, yeah. General have been out of stock for the last month. Yeah, stock issues are always a problem. It's just this store is, you know, we have quite a few stores to choose from, and you know, others will get stock in eventually and everything, but this store is just never has any stock. Boxes, don't want to open the support on. They didn't have it. Yeah. Orders from Battlefront miniatures. Oh, cool. Yeah, like Flames of War and stuff. Team Yankee. All right. Nice. I saw there's a release date for the Gundam Gundam Assemble game. I imagine I'll be playing that on stream when it does eventually come out. Lots of Martyr 2s. Oh, cool. All right. Coins moving to Legends. I think one of them. I think there's one that maybe isn't, but I don't remember. There's there are various articles around and stuff. If you hold on a second, I can try to find something that has a list of things moving to Legends. Let's see. I remember someone posting a list. Okay, I can't find it at the moment. A game called Blackout. I've heard Blackout's good, yeah. Reiju built one of these, Rogel Dorn. I'm sure if you look up like 40k Orc Legends or something, you probably get whatever posts that people posted. 52 and 49. That's definitely 52 right there. That's 49 that we'll put on after. It's fun, yeah. It's good to hear. Careful picking up the tank at this point. A little wobbly. Alright, 49. Yeah, looks cool. You don't see many like modern day war games or anything that's like close to modern engagements. Yeah, Ludas are going to Legends. Yeah, that one's a bummer. like I said, some of these armies, there's just so much that GW is like in a cycle mentality. That's next weekend. The Orcs release, not this weekend. This weekend is Ogres. Ogre individual kits and characters and everything. Alright, 131. Finally digging into this sprue. That's 131 right there. I have lots of big vehicles to paint. I'm kind of waiting on a lot of these to come in. But, lots of vehicles to paint. Just like a weird hodgepodge of vehicles, too. So, this Rogel Dorn, I got some Defilers, I got some Sisters of Battle tanks. Ludas are just being rolled into boys units. That's weird though. And there might be Ludas coming in the future too. I could see a kill team with Ludas. Up, but no, I'll just have to pull it apart a little bit. It's okay. Definitely one of the weirder builds. Of vehicles from GW. I will say that. Yeah, that's just gonna be, that's a hole. That's just a hole in the tank. That's crazy because it looks like there are like little spots here. You see that little notch right there? It looks like there are little notches where you could put something, but that's just going to be an empty spot. What a weird tank. I'm more of a Lehman Rust enjoyer myself. believe that will sit. Yep. That's unnerving. That's really unnerving. Sits on top. Yes. Yes, it does. Okay. This together for a minute. When do you guys think Lehman Russ tanks will go to Legends? Right, that is the main body of this tank. Oh no, we got more. Never mind. We got more. Oh, just 2 pages more. Alright, then we're on the turret. Okay, 39 and 54. Well, in the video game world, today there was a live stream from Creative Assembly talking about the Lords of the End Times DLC. It might still be going on. I don't know. I wasn't able to watch it. I was getting on stream, but yeah, they were showing off like the end game crisis, like, you know, Archaon, and what he does to the world basically when he shows up during your campaign. So they're talking about that today. Tomorrow, yeah, the Nagash skill tree, the Path of Exile tree that they gave him, yeah, it looks awesome. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited to play Nagash. Yeah, I'm a big undead enjoyer anyway, so Vampire Count's rework just looks really good. Nagash seems just ridiculous anyway. I'm curious how strong he is on like turn 1. If he's just like some insane powerhouse immediately, or if you really have to like build him up. There we go. 11 and 12. Yeah, 11 and 12. As your friend said, such is the power of Nagash. Is that what your friend said? Yeah, tomorrow, Nagash can't kill armies solo after completing the skill tray he's riding. I don't see how he wouldn't. Like, there are quite a few characters that can solo armies once you have them. Once you have them buffed up, there's a couple that can do it right away. At least like early game armies as an early game legendary lord. It used to be Kolek Suneater was like the dude to do that, but Durthu I think can. Scarbrand absolutely can. I'm not sure about some of the other greater demons. I don't know if Kuyath can. Kuyath might be able to. Yeah, Scarbrand is like the way. Tarox the Brass Bull. People used to do a challenge to like win the game with him in like 3 turns. Like you'd beat the campaign. So, yeah, I imagine Nagash is going to be a character like that. Something that was interesting is they talked about how when you would unlock certain things with Nagash, you would get passive spellcasting. And I don't know what passive spellcasting is, but it sounds really strong. Like your funny words, Magic Man, yeah. That way. Okay, that fits pretty easily. But that'll be cool. I'm excited. I'm gonna play some Total War on stream when the DLC comes out. We'll do a couple campaigns and stuff. Tomorrow though, there is a 40k Total War live stream. And I think they're gonna be showing off some Space Marine gameplay. So that's really cool. So we'll get to see like actual Space Marine gameplay for the first time. We've been seeing Guard and well, mainly Guard, but against AI Orcs. But we'll see Marines against AI Orcs, I think, this time. Eldar are going to be the really weird, like out there faction, but that's tomorrow. They're doing that, which is really exciting. At least I'm excited. Let's see, we need the little exhaust looking things. There they are. Yeah, getting Tyranids in Total War 40k is a matter of when, not if. Like, I can tell you right now, 100% guaranteed, Tyranids are coming to Total War 40k. Yes, 100% getting AdMech. Every 40k faction that has minis, and probably some 40k factions that don't even have rules, are going to get a release in Total War 40k. Everything. There's going to be Dark Mechanicum. There's probably going to be Traitor Guard factions, like Lost in the Dam type stuff. All of that stuff is going to be in 40k. I mean, they might even put out like Rogue Trader stuff. I'm sure they'll have Exodites. Like, it's all going to happen. Well, yeah, they got to milk those DLCs, dude. When Total War Warhammer first came out, so the thing being, here's what I'll say. I've been a big Total War fan since Shogun 1, which was their first game back in the year 2000. All right, I've played these games a lot. Total War Warhammer is probably one of my favorite games ever, just because it combines like two of my great loves, right? Which is Total War and Warhammer, right? Though their DLC policy, they have a ton of DLC for the game. There's a ton. And yeah, if you want to play the game and you want to buy everything for the game now, it's on sale. But you're going to pay a lot of money up front, right? This Total War Warhammer has been out for 10 years. They made a trilogy of games. They said from the start they're making a trilogy of games, and their goal is to have a complete game, like the whole world, and they're nearly there. I would hope they get one more faction in, which is the Dogs of War, like the classic like Telian mercenary armies and stuff. That's my like last expectation for them to do. But they still have more DLC that's coming. But you're to buy everything. It costs a lot of money. I've been playing this game for 10 years. I bought the first game when it came out in, it was like April or May of 2016. Maybe March of 2016. And I've bought every DLC as it's come out. And it's every couple months. Now it's like twice a year. They have a DLC that comes out. They add a ton of content. They always release a ton of free content with the DLC. And they'll do free updates for factions outside of the DLC content. So say you like to play High Elves, all right, and you own Total War Warhammer 2, which is the base game that has High Elves in it. High Elves have had a couple DLCs that have added like units and legendary lords and those kinds of things. Any of the faction abilities like that play for High Elves in general, like they have like an entry at court system, they have this crazy way to confederate other factions and stuff. You don't pay for those. Those aren't locked behind a DLC. If you want to play Tyrion, who's like, would be one of the legendary lords you got kind of base, you can play an up-to-date game with just Tyrion without buying any of the DLC. All that DLC does is it locks some of the units that come with the DLC, or like the regiments of renown that might come with them, which are like unique units. It locks those units, and it locks out the specific legendary lords that come in that DLC. That's it. And now with the game, if you want to play the big grand campaign, it's called Immortal Empires, you can own any 3 of the games. You don't have to own just the 3rd one. If you own Total War Warhammer 1, you can play Immortal Empires, and you can play it with any of the factions that you own, because all those factions are available for there. So you don't even have to buy the 3rd game. If you just like to play the Empire, and you want to play the Empire, you want to play Vampire Counts. Vampire Counts, literally, they're from base game 1, which is probably like, it's like $10 right now. They have one derpy DLC that added a lord and some units that you can buy probably for like $4 or $5 right now. And then there's the DLC coming out right now, which you can just buy the Vampire Count, like Nagash part of that DLC, which I think is like $8 or $9. You can buy that, and you can play a full campaign with any of the Vampire Count factions, any of that stuff, and everything is complete there. You play against everything that's in the DLC. They all show up as enemies, so you're not playing on like an empty board. Pick a faction character and see the wall of things you can't play. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I don't pay $60 for games. I probably will for this one, to be honest, but you're gonna, let's see, where's 116? That was 115, right? Like, DLC is going to happen with a Warhammer game, right? Where are these pieces? Did they mislabel a piece? I think they mislabeled a piece. Oh, you know what? That's what they did. Okay. The 116 and the 131 are right there. So I was clipping out the right piece. Yeah, you'll get Iron Warriors. Iron Warriors will be in the game. Number 3, they're very good at splitting Chaos groups into their own factions. Yeah. Yep. And like DLC is a thing, and like, nobody wants to buy 100 DLC for a game, right? Let's say I've been doing it for 10 years, so like for me it's pretty simple, because like now they have 1 or 2 DLCs that come out a year, and like, yeah, I'll pay $30 a year to have all the new stuff. that's fine. Like, because this DLC, this is a big one. This is the DLC coming out for Total War Warhammer is, I think, the biggest DLC they've ever made. But it's like $30 to get the 4 factions. Or you can pay like $8 or $9 for the individual factions you want. Yeah, they're not doing a trilogy of games for Total War 40k. It's just the one game. I think they're trying to give it like a really good foundation, and then it's just gonna be, you know, faction DLCs. I'm sure they'll do like sub faction DLCs, probably like, you know, unique things. They'll do like a Krieg DLC for the Guard, and they'll do a Blood Angels DLC for Space Marines and that kind of stuff. Which I don't know how big or how small they'll go, how ambitious they'll go with those. It's also a thing, if you don't play Blood Angels, don't buy the Blood Angels DLC, right? Like, that's cool. The way they've done DLC is if you don't play that faction, it doesn't affect you at all. It's not like Paradox is really bad about doing this, where they make a DLC and they lock features that everybody wants to use behind that DLC. So if you want to play an updated game, you have to buy the DLC. Total War is not like that. The DLCs are very specific to the factions that play them. Yes, they still show up in Game Blue. Yep. I would basically call that advertising at that point, right? They're showing you the cool stuff. There's even a thing I noticed. I played a campaign and I didn't have a DLC, and I was playing a faction that had the DLC that came out. They had units. I confederate a faction that had trained the units that I wasn't able to buy because they were DLC or whatever. I was still able to use them. It's just when they died, and I couldn't retrain them. That was the only thing. So, but you know, like 40k will have different modes of playing your campaign and stuff. But yeah, it's not like if you don't buy the Tyranid DLC, you never see Tyranids in the game. That'd be really bad. But stuff everyone wants to use, yeah. Hey, Zophiana, welcome in. You know, Total War does not do that. You see the full game. Like, seriously, you can play. If you want to play, what was your question? Where were you? Sorry, I'm reading a lot of stuff. Alpha Legion attachment specifically for Emperor's Children. I don't know what you're talking about. Why does Alpha Legion attachment for specifically? Are you talking about like 40k detachments? I don't know what the Alpha Legion. I don't know much about detachments. Wait, what? Where do you see that? For Heresy? Alpha Legion doesn't have an attachment that lets him take Fulgrim. That's not a thing. We're gonna do these pieces one at a time, because there's a lot of random, like, small pieces. Brotherhood of the Phoenix is an Emperor's Children detachment. Or Rite of War. Yeah, that's for Emperor's Children. That's not for Alpha Legion. That's like the, yeah, that's like a crazy Emperor's Children detachment. It's like a heretical detachment they get. In general. That looks like a bug from New Recruit. That's not a real thing. That's just a bug from New Recruit. Okay, did 119. Let's do 123. Yeah, that's why it's good to have your Liebers, because they're there is incorrect information, and what happens with all the digital sources too is they enter in that information, and if it gets entered in one place incorrectly, they all just copy and paste from each other. So then it's all like incorrect online if you're looking online. Most DLC added fishing. Why is it in a DLC? Yeah. I'm not familiar with RimWorld as a game, but a DLC adding a feature for every faction is not something Total War Warhammer has done. Now, Total War Warhammer has, released 3 games. So they have the first 2 games are essentially DLC at this point to the 3rd game. Or I guess they're all kind of DLC to each other because they're just adding factions. But the second game changed the features of the first game a ton, and like how the first game played. The third game changed the second one a ton. So those changed features, and you could say those were locked behind DLC, but you weren't like playing between the games yet, or you couldn't like own the first game and play against someone who just owned the second game at the time. Now at this point, everybody can play. You own one of the games and you can play on the big map, and it all plays together. So if you own Total War Warhammer 1 and I own, Total War Warhammer 2, we can play the big campaign from the third game together with all the factions that we own and all, using the units that we own. We don't have to share DLC either to be able to play a specific game. And I can't say 100% if 40k is going to work like that, or I can't say that they're not going to have non-consumer friendly practices. I don't know, but based on their track record, even when they do mess up and they do like stupid things, they get called out on it, and they tend to be like really responsive with it. So there we go, 30 and 5. Yeah, all right. And Total War Warhammer has been the golden goose for this company. I imagine 40k is going to make them so much more money. Or 5, okay. That's that one. So this game's going to get support for years. Yeah, the DLC all carried over between the trilogy. Yeah. This will just be, one game. At least my understanding is it's just going to be one game. They have basically said they're trying to make the base game as like solid as possible as a foundation for the future and stuff. Okay, we are done with the chassis of this tank. So, like I said, we're going to do some basics. I'm not quite sure what the client wants as far as weapons go at this point. So, we're going to do all the basics on this. Man, I hate that so much. That's painful. Look at that. Each underground facilities, stuff like that feels like it belongs in DLC, and they threw fishing. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, and that sounds like a kind of pricey DLC too, just to add like fishing as like a throwaway thing. Yeah, how a CA like Total War DLC would work? They would have the DLC. It would add, the missions, the spacecraft, stuff like that, and then they would do the fishing as like a free update for everybody, and they would advertise it as like part of the DLC, even though they would say like, this is a free update, everybody gets this, and so that's what they do with every DLC. They put out a bunch of free stuff with it. They make it a big point. Obviously you're going to advertise the free stuff, but they advertise free stuff. They put out free lords and free units for factions too. So I think Britonia If you're a chivalric knight, medieval knight fan, and you want to play Total War or Warhammer, again, you can play like $8. Every single Bretonnian thing in the game is free. So you can play Bretonia without paying an extra dollar for the game. They don't have any DLC. They're all free updates. There's 95, right? Well, $25, yeah. What I don't like, $25, maybe 15 to 20. Oh, yeah, that's too bad. Let's take it easy here. There we go. Don't slice her finger off or anything. This goes right there. Okay, let's see. 86, 138, 141, and 94. I assume it's not those. It's 141. There's 86. More stuff was linear, same DLC playthrough. Oh, okay. Another nice thing about Total War is okay. Since it's a big sandbox, hopefully there's not as much repetition. We'll see. We'll see, though. I am excited for their stream tomorrow. This piece doesn't get glued. I might eventually, I might just glue it. What tends to happen with these, like, do not glue, they end up just sagging and like pointing down. Ends up looking really bad. That one won't. We'll see. Glue until I get a pose I like, yeah. I like having turrets I can remove from vehicles. I don't like having the weapons that can move up and down. Okay, that goes in like that. Yes. Ooh. Okay. Symmetrical. I do feel if I don't glue this, yeah, it's going to be angled down a bit. We don't want that, so I'm going to glue it. I'm going to glue this piece in. We're going to glue it at an angle that's a little better. Just raised up a bit, because that's down. We don't want our gun like traversed down. Yeah, that should be perfect. Okay. I wonder if these guns are completely separate, aren't they?
Just a moment to thank you for
Are they?
allowing
I
me
want to
back
see.
into your home.
What to see? Hey, Emil NX19, welcome. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the follow. How are you doing this afternoon? Working on this Rogel Dorn turret. This is our piece, right? This is piece 110, piece 110. I wonder if I were to check eBay today, I wonder how many classic Space Marine minis I can find for dirt cheap. I wonder if this will be like a 10th edition Legends statement where when 10th edition came out, they moved all the Heresy vehicles and dreadnoughts and stuff to Legends. And it was just like a mass sell-off. Is it time to go buy Hammerfall bunkers at a discount? Backwards. Just like that. Bunkers are cool terrain. Yeah. They could definitely make for some cool terrain. What would be the real awesome move is if this time next year Games Workshop put another terrain set out with completely different layouts that invalidated the terrain that people already bought, for like this edition, and then everybody just sells off their terrain and then I can just buy terrain. That'd be so cool. I mean, terrible. Absolutely terrible from GW. Be funny. Okay. So this little guy here. Oh, it's all... Put it on back. You have to put it on backwards. And then spin it. There you go. That's a very British looking tank. Objectives are terrain pieces. I want to get another bunker, so I have 2. Yeah. That's cool. All gets to fire it? Yeah, that'd be fun. I think none of these pieces repeat. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm going to assemble both these guns. And he's just going to have to deal with it. I'll decide later if I'm going to magnetize him. 106. That's what we're starting with. Yeah, I like those kind of rules, though. Like, you take the objective and you get, like, a tangible benefit during the game. I like that kind of thing. $96.97. I remember way back in the day Let's see, looking for 92 and 89. Where's PC? Okay, there's PC 89. Playing Star Wars Armada, we had a league. This was like, it was like back in 2016. So we were playing a league, and we had like 12 people playing in this league, and we had a guy running it. And at the end of the league, we did a big battles, the Battle of Endor, right? Classic. And we did Battle of Endor, like Rebels versus the Empire, and all that. And I remember playing on the Rebels, and there were objectives on the board, and it was a huge board, so everybody brought like 600 points, and so it was just massive board, tons of ships and squadrons on the board and everything. And the organizer made a rule that the Death Star could fire its lasers. Every turn it could fire its laser once. The team picked one enemy ship and used it. And what it took were there were objective tokens that he put on the board. And it was whichever team controlled the objectives. Like if the Empire controlled, I think they got to fire the laser. If the Rebels controlled, I don't remember if they got to fire. They probably didn't get to fire, because that wouldn't make sense, the Rebels firing at the Imperials. But basically, if you held the objectives, you got the benefit out of it. And the benefit for the Empire was just a massive roll of the dice at an enemy ship to try to blow it up. Well, at that time, there was a ship that had come out. It's called an Interdictor Star Destroyer. And one of the upgrades for an Interdictor Star Destroyer was that before a game starts, you can move objective tokens a certain amount of distance. Not like across the board or anything, but enough to make a huge difference in a game. It's a really cool ship. It's a really fun ship. I really enjoy the Interdictor as far as Imperials go. But the Imperial players, a couple of them took Interdictors, and they brought the objective token moving. And so they just moved the objectives back into, practically their deployment zone with, 100 ships on the board. And we're like, we're just going to fire this laser every turn. We're like, well, crap. Like, we got to do something about this. This is going to really stink. Well, the first turn, I was playing with Admiral Akbar in Home 1, which was the biggest Rebel ship at the time. And, they decided as a group to fire on my Home 1 ship with the Death Star laser on turn 1. And I put a bunch of defensive upgrades on it anyway, because there's a bunch of points, and it's a big ship, and it's my flagship. I wanted to be super safe, and it was fun and cool and all that. Well, they fire on it, and they take down some shields, and that was it. Ship was still full health and still fully ready to fight. And I was like, huh. I was like, man, yeah, that ship tanked a Death Star laser pretty well. Like that, that was a big benefit. I'll expect it dies next turn, because they're probably going to shoot at it again. Next turn they shoot at it again. It takes more shields. It doesn't take any health. Again, the second turn. It's an absolute beast of a ship, but still, they threw a bunch of dice at it, didn't do anything. Third turn they shoot at it again. It damages it a bunch, but it's still alive. I think it was the fourth turn they finally killed it. But at that point, their benefit for the game, the big Death Star, laser, it had killed one ship over the course of 2/3 of the game. It was really funny. Rebels ended up winning that game. That's why the Death Star in the movies never fires a Home 1. Because it wouldn't be able to kill it. That's the lesson here. This gets flipped over. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and this cannon, it basically just fits right in there. I'm not going to do that too much because of the glue. I don't want to accidentally glue it in. But we might be able to magnetize this. Oops, I don't know. Maybe. That might be a good candidate for a magnet.
First of all,
hey,
just a moment to thank you.
The Prime Nerf finally found me? Oh no. Who is this? Who are you? What have you done? Welcome in, Prime Nerf. What's going on? I'm confused and worried. Oh, I do. Yeah, I do have YouTube. Yeah, I'm streaming on YouTube right now also. Yeah. Welcome in. Let's get some pieces. We need 25, 126, 127, 128. That's all of these. What are you watching on YouTube from me? Is it my Thousand Suns videos that I'm so very famous for? I also haven't made a Thousand Suns video in a while. 127, 128. Oh, sold an army to start a new one. Okay. What'd you sell and what are you starting? Who's looking for me? Painting schemes and colors from different channels. Oh, gotcha. Well, I'm not painting today. Sorry to disappoint, but yeah, always happy to talk shop about color schemes and stuff. Figuring out a color scheme for a new army is always like really exciting. My son has been painting some of his first owned minis, and helping him with his color scheme has been really fun. His color scheme's pretty wacky because he's playing Mandalorians and Star Wars Legion, and he's playing the Children of the Watch, so every Mandalorian can have their own colors, which is really cool. Army box, Space Marines. Okay, is that for 40k? The like the Armageddon box. It's really cool.
Every day's a good day when you paint. I believe it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart.
Hey, Deadlight 86, welcome in, Deadlight. Thank you so much for the raid. It's CDs. What on, man? You CDs, guns I'm assembling here. Yeah. How you doing? What a absolute wild emote. That is something. Yeah, welcome in, guys. It's me, Gonzo, welcome. How are you guys doing? How you doing this afternoon? It's afternoon where I am. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I'm just assembling some Rogel Dorn here. This little guy with this absolute heinous gap on the bottom. Rob Saul, welcome. Another disturbing emote. Wild. This is a side of Twitch I don't often see, just because I hang out in like the miniatures. What were you up to, Deadlight? Were you painting minis or are you doing something else? The miniatures and models side of Twitch is very tame and very boring. So we don't see some of the more degenerate side of everything. You were building? Okay. Oh, so you were adding the degeneracy to the miniatures and models then, huh? Always come in here. Hot take, John, Warhammer 40,000. Is that okay, 8th edition was a place to improve the game. No. I didn't like 8. I hated 8th edition, honestly. I tried like 2 games of 8th edition and then just dropped 40k. My hot take is 3-year editions are horrible. Or miniatures and models. Okay, you guys are the crazy wacky kids of miniatures and models then. Dang. Still sniffing cement. You know what? Yeah, I got my limonene cement here. Yeah. You gotta switch to gunplay. No, I've assembled some Gundam kits. It's not my jam. Not my jam. But yeah, you are all unhinged. I know some gunpla people. If Zen, I don't think Zen's on stream today. I don't know, he's probably napping or something, but I know what the deal is. Just go try. 9-hour stream. Holy cow, I can't do that. 8th, aside from Overwatch, was bad. I did not like 8th edition. I like my templates and my actual leadership stat, and yeah, I like initiative stats. I don't like the you go I go when it comes to choosing who fights across the board. There are a lot of things I don't care. I don't care for as far as modern 40k goes. Painted my towel like Gundam a few years ago. Sold the 3,000 points for $5,000. Dang, that's wild. All right, we got these guns here, and this might be. Let's see what else we can do. This is a commission piece, so I need to wait to hear exactly what I'm doing from the client as far as weapons and stuff go. So I'm just seeing if this is how I'm going to continue. I assume the stubber will be on this model no matter what. 8th plus templates. An initiative we're cooking. Yeah. Did someone make a rule set like that? Does Warhammer Nub taste the same? I don't know. Let's see. Is it just the Gatling gun there? I think no matter what, that's the Gatling gun on the front. Guys, don't eat plastic. Don't drink the paint water. Don't drink your glue. This is established things here, okay. Yeah, the Space Marines. They added another one today, which was funny. They added the Dreadnought. Everybody was cackling yesterday because they're like, yeah, the Dreadnought was missed. It stays in the rules and all this stuff, and then they slipped it in today. Which is pretty funny, honestly, but okay, this is what we need. Yeah, welcome guys. I'm the Painting Dad. If you're not familiar with me, I don't know why you would be, but I just chill and paint minis. That's what we do. We just work on minis. Might be playing some video games soon. I'm a huge fan of just Warhammer games in general at this point, and there's a lot of good Warhammer games on the docket to be released, so I might be doing a few more video game streams coming up soon, but I do paint commissions, so that's what I'm working on today, just getting this little guy started. I have a couple wacky commissions coming up. I'm waiting for some models to come in and everything, but okay, why is the Gatling barrel not on that piece? That's annoying. Where is it? Is it on this one? No, it's not on that one. Okay. Is it on this one? Oh no, my eyes have failed me. Right 134. It's like a front end. You drank the plastic. Yeah. Don't drink the what do they call it? The sprue goo. Glasses Brothers fell. Praise honor. What would it be? Yeah, the box knot. Box knot will be back in Avengers Doomsday and or the Horus Heresy though. They're updating that model. I've been commissioned like 5 years. An accident 6 years ago destroyed my hands. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. Oh, there it is. Okay. It was on the same sprue. Ignore me. Yeah, you still paint. It's just it's just hard. Yeah. Oh, getting the steel jacks assembled. Nice. Oh no. You know, I might have assembly instructions for those. I probably could have sent you. Horus Heresy for daring to be successful. What's the punishment? I don't know what that punishment is. What are your thoughts? I have many thoughts. I'm a huge Horus Heresy fan. It's like my favorite game from GW right now. I have many opinions on Horus Heresy. Yeah, so Prime Nerf, I have done many commissions over the years for people that, you know, have some kind of injury and are like physically not able to paint minis, whether it's like to sit still or to sit down or their hands shake or there's, you know, a lot of stuff like that. And those ones always, they feel extra good being able to paint for people that like want to but can't. Yeah. But I it seems like not a an ultra, it's not like an ultra rarity. You know, it happens. Life happens, and this is it's a very like precision based hobby where you need good eyes and steady hands and everything, and that can be difficult. I love 3rd edition. 3rd edition is way better than 2nd was. 3rd edition was an improvement on the game. Around 2012, stopped in 2021. Yeah. So my thoughts. The reason 3rd edition came out, I don't think 3rd edition was like the thing that GW forced the creators to make. I think there was a point where GW was like, you guys need to make a new rule set for this game and do it quick. It wasn't 3rd edition, it was 2nd edition. 2nd edition was I have been playing Warhammer. I've been playing Games Workshop games since 2002. I got into 40k and at the end of 3rd edition around 2004. I've been playing these games for a long time. I didn't actually start collecting Heresy until 2nd edition came out. I never wanted to buy all the resin. But I loved 2nd edition. It was a ton of fun. 2nd edition was bad. No, 2nd edition had tons of issues. There were so many issues with 2nd edition. 2nd edition was a rushed edition. They didn't know what they were doing. What happened was Alan Bly passed away. Was it Alan Bly? Is that his name? Alan Bly passed away. Who was the one that was, you know, he was the heresy guy at Forge World, right? When he passed, is that the right way to do this? Hold on. Are those two different weapons? Oh, they are two different weapons. Okay. Oh, well. That's a little canon thing. So, 1st edition, I have read 1st edition. I used to watch 1st edition battle reports. It was also, it was okay. It was definitely a Forge World edition. It had, like that game, had zero balance whatsoever. And that's fine if you're playing full narrative stuff and people are just collecting what's cool. Totally fine. I probably watched 100 battle reports of first edition, and it was the same things people brought every time. Yeah, Heresy is absolutely a narrative game. Yeah, and I'm all about that. That's how I play. I like to play narrative. I set up weird scenarios with people, and that's how I play Heresy. The problem with any war game, really, but then it gets exaggerated with Heresy being, especially first and second edition more so, is that people still only bring what's good. So you have, large blast artillery that just wipes out infantry. You have only like mechanized forces because people fighting on foot just die instantly. People are giving all their apothecaries and veteran sergeants thunderhammers because that's the only good power weapon. Like, that's what you see. And in second edition, people house ruled the game a bunch, which they did in first edition too, but second edition being house ruled so much, like, immediately, because it was like it was bad when it released. But continuing my point, first edition was first edition, probably would have continued for a while. Alan Bly passed away. He was kind of the like brain of Horus Heresy as a game system and as like a lore system and everything. He passed away, and then COVID happened, and I can't remember which happened first, but either way, GW's business exploded when COVID and all that stuff was going on in 2020. And I think at that point they were like, we need something else. We need a big thing. So I think they were already working on plastic minis, but they wanted like a big release with it. So they kind of had the people that were there that were not Alan Bly make a new edition really quick, because they didn't want to release a bunch of new models with the current messy like 9-book edition of rules that you need. Like, it's just all messy. It's all under Forge World. They wanted to put it under more the simpler like Games Workshop umbrella. So they had to make a new edition really quick. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So they came out with with second edition real quick. And you can tell second is hasty just with like it's a slight change on the first edition of Heresy. Like, there's not much, but then the books are really sloppy. I doubt they did much like actual playing of the game to test it out, because like some things are just way off the charts, way too good, way too bad. It took them over a year to get some of the other books like the Mechanicum and Custodes and Solar Auxilia out. A lot of problems. I do think though that as soon as second edition came out, or before, they started writing third edition. And third edition is, what is this game with if we were to write this game basically from the ground up, to take our time to write it, like, how do we do it? This is how we do it. And you get third edition. Third edition as a game is incredible. The rules, like the way the rules are written, can be really frustrating, but they're thorough. So there's not a ton of like open interpretation on the rules. There's always going to be mistakes. I think the biggest issue with third comes in with the armies, like the Libers. And I think what ended up happening with that was, you have the management versus the game designers. Also, what's up, Jaded? Where I doubt they were expecting to release third edition when they did. And I think management saw a gap in the release schedule and then pushed for it to be released. And then management's like, hey, also, we want to put out all the books at the same time, all the Libers at the same time. And I think the designers made an honest effort to do that, But then the books, you can tell from the Libers that like it's where some of the rules start to fall off, where there become issues. Like the Mechanicum book is still like really janky with how it works. You know, like certain units being left out that probably shouldn't, or you know, typos that shouldn't be there, or like little things like that. But I think the edition as a whole is like what the rules writers wanted. It just came out quicker than they wanted. So yeah, I think there's that competition between the designers and actual management on what happens. You know, like what gets released and when things get released. But I also think the like the Legacy PDF is like a compromise, right? Or, you know, the Custodes book coming later was a compromise. But like this edition's been super fun. I enjoy the game now in third than I think I ever did in second. The missions, the journals are more enjoyable than like the 3 big books they put out. The big books they put out for second were like they were okay, but they didn't do much. Like 71 to get this piece. You know, they added some rules that everybody wanted in a $60 book. There's a lot of pretty decent lore in them, and then it was like not much else. And they altered the missions some. But it was also like a $60 book. I like the journal format. I know I'm not saving any money buying the journals because I've bought all of them, but I like the bi-monthly magazine basically that change how the game's played and adds rules and does that. It's almost the same amount of content as one of those big books had in second. Okay, what else we doing here? Adding some other little parts. Yeah, these little like hook pieces. Are those? Oh, that's 44. No, of course, those are different. Hey, Killer Cam, what's going on, dude? Okay, that's 45, which is the far one. Yeah, 44 here. So, Prime Nerf, multiple blocks for the high spots, working and buried you. Oh, wow, okay. Wow, that's rough, dude. That's rough. I'm glad you're able to paint and do things now. I'm sure that recovery took a while. Did you do like Doctor Strange did and you went to is it Comertage? Is that what they call it? To go rebuild your hands when nothing else worked. I'm assembling a Rogaldorn battle tank today. It's for a commission. Just getting it started. I'm not putting any weapons on it yet. I'm wanting to see what the client wants here, but I'm working on it. The model is pretty cool looking, and then it has just the awful gap on the bottom, and it feels like hurts my soul. We're putting things in boxes. Oh, fun. All right. Okay, I think I put the track guards on. There are little wheel guards here. I don't think I'm going to put those on. I don't think I like the look of these. But I'll put these guys on. These look interesting. Yeah, I don't like these little track guards though. Is the same piece, 78 and 77. Of course they're not. 78 is the right side. 77
First of
is
all,
the left.
let me take just a
Okay.
moment to thank you for
Ruben,
allowing me
welcome
back into your
in.
home.
Thank you for the follow. Okay. 77 on that side. I think, yeah, this past year has been a very, very big exercise in just ignoring people's opinions on the internet. Especially when it comes to like anything pop culture. Just because, like, okay, it's a recent example. All right, I went and saw The Odyssey on Saturday. And I don't know if anybody here remembers hearing anything about The Odyssey before that movie came out. And just how, you know, furious whatever subsect of make-believe internet people were about how bad the movie's going to be, or it's not historical because there's a black person in The Odyssey, or, you know, whatever the complaint was. That movie was incredible. That was an absolutely incredible movie. It's Dark Angels. Oh, cool. That's cool, man. Dark Angels are legit. Is there some Chaos Demons? I might be painting Chaos Demons sometime in the near future. There's the article about the new Journal Tactica today. It was about Custodes stuff, but they showed off some demons, some Tzeentch demons painted in a 30k style, and they look insane. And I think I'm going to try to copy that style whenever I get some Tzeentch demons. I mean, if I ever get some. Tips for starter. Don't know what to get, what paints. Yeah, so tips for a starter. Well, first of all, what kind of game you getting into? What are you getting into? You playing like Warhammer? Like 40k or something, or you know, do you have miniatures that you're painting, or you just want to paint minis in general? You just want a cheap way to start? Do you have a budget? You know, you're just trying to keep things cheap and easy. I think if you're just getting started, it's probably easier to start a little cheaper. You know, you want to start a little budget friendly, because if you don't like it, then you didn't, you know, sink, you know, $100 or $200 into the hobby. Cheap and easy. Yeah. So there's a couple ways to go about this. If you're really wanting to paint Warhammer and you want to get hobby paints and stuff, Games Workshop actually makes little paint sets that can kind of get you started. Those are really easy to jump into. You buy the set. They normally come, I think they come with a couple Space Marines or a couple Orcs. You pick the set. Let's drop that tiny piece. Do they come with a brush? I think they might come with a brush also. And they come with some pots of paint. And they might be full-size pots of paint, which is really nice. I can look these sets up here in a minute, but you know, as far as this hobby is concerned, that is a pretty cheap entry. If you have a hobby store near you that sells some different brands of paint, people prefer different brands. Everybody has like their own, you know, preferred brand and everything, but model is Reaper. Yeah, you can find a cheaper paints. You know, Army Painter is you know, normally very budget friendly paints. They have some sets you can get that are cheap, or you can just go buy, you know, 3 or 4 colors, spend like $10 or $12 or so, and have some paints. Cheap synthetic brushes are always the best to start with. I wouldn't recommend starting with sable brushes until you know it's something you want to do. They're like sable natural hair brushes are really nice, and they hold their point long, and you know, you can clean them really easy and all that stuff, but they're more expensive. I have a different thing. As far as cheap miniatures, Reaper miniatures are really cheap. I also have always really liked the Nolzor's Marvelous Unpainted Miniatures. They're really cool. They're little like $5 sets for like D&D minis. And they come pre-primed. So you don't even have to worry about priming them. You just take the mini out of the box. You can maybe super glue it to its base and then start painting it. And they have some really cool sculpts. I have a lot of those Nolzor's minis. Because if I do play D&D, I have to play with minis. I can't just do pen and paper or whatever because I'm lame. But yeah, the Nolzor's minis do get some. They get some flashing issues and like some warping and stuff. The plastic is cheap plastic they use for them, but you're just wanting to learn how to paint minis. Buy some monsters. Discord. Yes, yeah, I do have a Discord. Yeah, if you want to chat after stream is over, we can absolutely do that. And we got has like 500 plus people in there, and they're a super friendly group. And we got people of all experience levels. Some very knowledgeable people in there. I'm not even showing. No. I'm missing all my Discord money. That's right. Go. Yeah, Blue's the meanest person there. Definitely Blue. But yeah, synthetic brushes, buy, 3 or 4 cheap paints. You buy cheap brushes online or something, just a set, like, $10 for a set of brushes. And, yeah, you need a water cup. Preferably something that looks different than the actual cup you're drinking out of. Lost on where to start minis and books. Yeah. It's a big big hobby. Yeah, the little 40k starter sets are pretty cool. The little paint sets. Let me see. Let me check it out real quick. I'll grab it. I'll send a link straight from their website. Drink your paint water, tend to refresh your water. That's true. It encourages you. Start here. Paint sets. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So they have a couple different paint sets here. All right, depending on what you want to spend, they have say you want to do Space Marines. They have a Space Marine paint set, and it comes with 2 Space Marines, just 2 intercessoral push fit minis, or 6 paints and a brush. It's $35 retail. I recommend finding a non-Warhammer store, like a hobby store near you. That's like an independent retailer that sells Games Workshop. They will normally have a discount on this stuff. So, yeah. I mean, for now they are, JD Hetzer. Yeah, for now intercessors are valid. Maybe not next edition, but for now they are. So you can pay below retail for a lot of this stuff. This is just like the upper end on what it'll cost. $35, 2 marines, 6 paints, and a paintbrush. It's fine. It's a good start. They also sell a paint plus tools set. It doesn't come with miniatures, but it comes with, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 paints, a pair of clippers like this, like little sprue clippers, and it looks like a brush, and it has a file tool. It's a mold scraper. It's a little metal tool that you can like scrape the little it's called flashing, or like mold lines off your minis. That's $45. That's kind of a lot of paint for $45, honestly. Like, that's a pretty decent looking set. It doesn't come with any minis to paint though. So if you're like, man, I want to get like into Warhammer, all this stuff, they have that set, and then you can buy some. You can always buy like a $5 Nolzor's mini and start painting that. But that's a decent little variety of colors. What does it come with? Let's see. Abaddon Black, yep, which is black. Auric Flesh, which is like a light green. Averland Sunset's a yellow. Macragge Blue is a blue. Mornfang brown. Leadbelcher is a silver color. Retributor Armor is a gold. Borax White, which is horrible. It's a white, I guess. Mephiston Red. Rakarth Flesh, so flesh colors. Andrew Dust is like a dusty color. Okay, and it comes with Agrax Earthshade, which is a wash. And Armageddon Dust, so it comes with the texture paint for bases. That's a pretty decent start, honestly. Yeah, a decent little paint set. Yeah. Little paint sets. I'm sure Army Painter has some really nice paint sets as well. Here, I'll let's see. That's the Intercessor paint set. And that is the paint and tool set. Comes with more paint and stuff. It's a little bit more money, but again, $45 for that much paint and the tools themselves. That's not too bad. Pretty decent. Okay, what else am I doing on this tank? Yeah, so the sponsons. Yeah, so there's options for the sponsons. So I'm not gonna do these ones yet because I'm not sure. Yeah, like I said, if you have more questions, by all means, ask away, because it is a big hobby to get into. And yeah, if you're jumping in the Discord, there's actually like a hobby advice channel there if you just want to ask a question, and someone will answer it soon. I try to get on there. I think some people are quicker on the draw than me, but okay, so that's that gun if it sits in there, and then we got the big gun here. Yeah, pretty reasonable. It's a pretty decent sized tank. I don't know what people I want to put out here. I know you can put a platform that hangs from the back, and you can put the heavy stubber right here, and someone's shooting it. They're standing on the back of it like they would on the old Shermans and stuff, which is cool. Let's put you to the side. Let's sit you in the box. Oops, good. And I'm going to go ahead and get started on assembling something else if that's cool with you guys. So I have this box here, And this is a set I have never had the pleasure of putting together a painting, but I have the Mark III breachers. Look at those. This is actually a set that's part of Project Legion here for the channel. So somebody requested that I paint a squad of breachers as Raven Guard, for the express purpose of doing something kind of off kilter on something you wouldn't normally see a Raven Guard player do. And so breachers were the thing they asked for. And it was Mark III, which was easy because that's just what comes in the set. So yeah, so we're gonna put together some breachers. I'm gonna start this. I think I'm gonna print some shoulder pads for them, and I do have Raven Guard breacher shields, but I don't really like them, so I think we'll just do the shoulders, and then we'll keep the rest of them. We'll just kind of keep them as is. But yeah, we can put some breachers together. I have put together probably 200 tactical marines in this style, so I'm familiar with the tactical marines. I just have a couple extra parts. They got las cutters. They have a little graviton gun, right? Yeah, graviton gun. Boarding shields are different, and I have never messed with this shield sprue. So okay, it has a sergeant sprue. This comes in like every tactical squad box. Just random sergeant bits. Power sword, power fist, lightning claw, that kind of stuff. This is the standard tactical sprue. It's just 5 minis on the sprue. 5 different poses. They repeat it. You know, so we got 10 minis. And then this is the breacher sprue. So it does have its own arms. That's something I was actually wondering about. So it has its own sets of arms, and this actually has its own headset too, which that's because this set is meant to go with different units, right? They are they're Mark III arms. So that's interesting. They also have unique bolters, which is cool. But yeah, we'll use, let's compare the heads. I think these ones have spikes on them. Yeah, I don't want the spiked heads. I don't like the spiked heads as much. Little head spikes there. These ones have got head spikes. Yeah, not a huge fan. So we'll use the heads from the breacher sprue that are really cool looking. A couple sergeant heads? No, that's not sergeant head. That's the sergeant head. I might do a bear head for the sergeant. Nope, we got a dude yelling here. That's cool. And the other thing I need to look, I want to look this up before we get started. Do hands go to specific arms? Yeah, 1, 2, 6 and 7, 26, 27, 21, 22, 11, 12, 16, 17, okay. 35, 36. So really just like 10 different ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Alright, well, in that case, we'll go ahead and get started. Let this bag ripped open. I got transfers. Are there Raven Guard transfers on here? No. No, there's not. At least I got 4 legions on here. That's cool. Might as well do all of them, right? Base in the trash. We're going to put this sprue down for a minute because we're not quite there yet. And if I do shoulder pads, I think that's That's all I'll have to worry about. I'll 3D print some Raven Guard Mark III shoulder pads. That's what I'll do. But we can get started. We're gonna start. You just go up in numbers. So we have. That's piece number 2. There's number 1. 1. 1 and 2. Here's 3 and 4. The Mark III power armor is probably my least favorite, but I'm also a Thousand Suns player, and I feel like the Mark III matches the Thousand Suns less than all the others. 1, here it is, 10, right. 8 and 9. Hey, Groovy, what's going on, man? Right. Yeah, I love assembling and painting these Heresy era Marines. They're great minis. The Mark IVs have been my favorite, I think, as far as quality. I think my least favorite's been the Mark IIs, but I think just painting, I painted so many of those. And they take so long to paint. They have so many like extra little tubes and stuff hanging out of them and all that, so it was just worse. There, we got the last one here. Does not have real lift seals replaced. Oh, dang. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'll get this stuff sorted eventually. Just take some time, right? Apparently a lot of blood, sweat, and tears also. I think that's it. Yep. Alright. First 5 torsos, cut out the other ones. I think I'm going to keep their shields off. I'll paint their shields separate and then glue them on. This is Squad Ghost Hawks. That's what this squad will be named. Parts, leasing the tools. I need a shop crane. Oh, dang, yeah. I learned a crazy random trick lately. My house key and my wife's house key has been like struggling to get into the lock and everything, to unlock the door and stuff. It's just weird. And so, you know, we're like, well, do we have to get new locks, or like what's our next step here? And we were kind of looking up what to do, and like, you know, new doors and deadbolts and doorknobs and stuff aren't too expensive, but we found out is you can actually lubricate the lock and use graphite, like graphite powder, to lubricate the lock. So you go buy some graphite powder and you just put some powder in the lock and on your key. If you don't have graphite powder, you don't want to buy it, you can actually use a pencil. You know, you sharpen a pencil, you shave a pencil down, and well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, all right. And you basically just rub the pencil all over the key and like try to get into the lock some and everything. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I guess I'll try that out. I'll see if that's a thing. So I found a pencil and I shaved it down, and I basically tried to color my key. It doesn't show up or anything, but rubbed my key with it and basically just like colored inside the lock as I could get it and everything. And sure enough, key slipped right in. It was like perfect. Sharpening pencils. Pencils, man, pencils. Yeah. Soap for wood on wood drawers. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But man, just some graphite. That's all it took. The new word. Pencils? Heard of a pencil? PNCIL. Was I saying it weird? Is it my my Midwest accent? Pencils? Pencils? I'm not saying it like that. Music turn off? What's going on? YouTube shut me down. Oh, I did. Oh, okay. My brain can't keep up with me when I talk on stream. Pencils. I don't know, man. I don't know. Do have the nub. Okay, so I'm not going to cut the nubs off the shoulder pieces. The torso bits, and we'll get the legs. You hit the limit for brilliance? If that's the indicator, then I hit my limit for brilliance decades ago. There's none left. Tuesday through Thursday from okay, all right. Very kind of you, Jaded. Someone named Jaded, you sure are very positive. First couple steps on these minis finished would be really nice. They gotta fire up the 3D printer though. I'm having fun painting the Project Legion minis though. All the different Legionnaires have been a lot of fun. Iron Warrior is really cool. Jade about the world, not chosen community. That's fair. That's fair. I'll join you in that. Dang, that's crazy. That's right. You had the Realm of Battle boards, Groovy, that you were selling. Oh, the actual tables. Okay, okay. Thank. I remember when that Escape from Goblin Town stuff came out, like The Hobbit as a rule set and everything with the movies. I was so hyped for it. And I remember being so disappointed when I saw the actual like models and the set and everything. I never got it. Never got the starter set. And I don't think many people did. Because they didn't release a starter set for the second movie. They just did a they just did like a book. And then the third movie, The Battle for Five Armies, they like put out a PDF. And like that's all they did. And some resin minis. It was like the chance for the comeback for Middle Earth. And those Hobbit movies just kind of killed it. Oops, all right. Let's glue some pieces together. Gotten rare enough to, or whatever, to sell. Yeah, yeah. Middle Earth stuff has always had good terrain. They always sell like interesting terrain for that game, and I think the Goblin Town stuff, I guess, as terrain wasn't too bad. It makes for an interesting board setup, right? Same thing with Dreadfleet. Oh man, yeah, I remember Dreadfleet. What a poor disaster for GW. I feel like GW couldn't give away those boxes. Wait, no, that's too... what am I doing here? That's the chess piece. There we go. One was Man of War. You got a different scale one. Yeah, yep. GW in a nutshell. It was like Legions Imperialis too, right? Okay, let's trim these legs up. I wanted Adeptus Titanicus. How the book's models are for Epic. They wanted Epic. Yeah. Yep. Right. Yeah, Epic 40k was never going to happen, though. Like, once... It was pretty easy to tell once they had the Aeronautica minis come out and they were to scale with the Titanicus minis. But also, like, you know, they had Xenos planes in Aeronautica Imperialis, so... You know, you're never going to get that scale again. It was going to be that weird 8mm scale. But then, yeah, being the specialist studio, I guess they can't do 40k games, so let's stick with Heresy. Financially, it makes sense. It was the smarter move on GW's part. To roll with Heresy. You put out a fraction of the product. And you know, it all the players can play with everything, kind of thing. Yeah, the Eldar ones. Yeah, I never got anything for Titanicus or Aeronautica Imperialis. The Titanicus minis looked really cool. I mean, they still look really cool, but man, they are expensive. Super expensive. Also, the kids that got dusted for space. Oh, you already got rid of yours. You timed the market well, apparently. try to glue these legs in on all these minis, and I think I'll call it a day there. So if you guys want a place to hang out, we got a nice Discord server. I don't spam people with notifications unless you sign up for the role to get notifications from me. I'm trying to not use the @everyone anymore unless it's like an emergency or something. So, you know, if you see that as a benefit. I also don't like being annoyed with people's notifications all the time. So. Green Knights. Oh, Grey Knights still have that stuff? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much longer they have that stuff. Rhinos are still in the basic Marine Codex. I think Rhinos are getting a refresh model. But Rhinos and Razorbacks, I think, are sticking around. Even goes in a Rhino. They're going to allow any Tacticus or Phobos models go in a Rhino. Doing what they said they were going to do at the start of 10th edition. They're finally getting to it. Yeah, I really don't like the Impulsor mini. I don't like the Gladiator or the Repulsor either very much. I have a Repulsor, but man, I really don't like the Impulsor. It's like an El Camino. They just look small. Mine are mostly metal. Oh yeah, I got the metal ones. The metal ones are sweet looking. Those are classics. Metal Grey Knights. I think I have the the Codex Demon Hunters lying around. From what was that? 4th edition, maybe? Yeah, little gunship's going away. Yep. Someone posted a list on the Discord. Just add Dreadnought to that list, and you got a complete list because GW added Dreadnoughts this morning. They edited the article. This leg goes like that. Cool. Yeah, you stand up. Alright, you guys. Well, oh, I hated those Space Marine flyers. The Storm Raven was okay, it grew on me. The other ones never did, though. That is enough glue inhalation for me today. But we got a lot done. I'm going to continue these guys. So I think everything but the shoulder pads. I'll put them on. I'll keep the shields separate. Yeah, we'll paint them and then we'll just glue the shields on. Should be fun though. Raven Guard, that'll be really cool. Some Heresy era Raven Guard, and it'll be fun too. This is Project Legion. This is Ghost Hawks sponsored this squad. If you want to sponsor a squad, you can check out the page on Discord, the channel on Discord. I got a pinned message talking about sponsoring squads, and we also need a couple individual Marines sponsored still. I think there are 3 left. There's an Iron Hands, a Sons of Horus, and a Word Bearer, I believe, are the 3 left to get individual tactical Marine sponsorship. So if that's something you want to do, something to check out on Discord. But this will be a squad that we paint. This is Project Legion squad here that will paint the whole squad. It should be fun, and maybe you'll see them on the table one day during a live stream during a game or something. Trying to make it work. But all that said, I will be back tomorrow morning. I may start a little late. That's a bit up in the air right now, but I will be streaming tomorrow. Maybe painting some more. I'll probably be painting. Yeah, then we paint. We'll find something to paint. But until then, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening, and I will see you all tomorrow around between 11 and noon. We'll say between 11 and noon. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful day, and we go and see Jaded by Groovy. Bye, everybody.